Hello, hello, hello. Sit down. Okay. I've been home for about I'm gonna say an hour. I had a doctor's appointment today. I know people normally don't do this no more. This is Vaseline Rosy Lips. My lips are dry. But anyway, this I'm doing is just gonna be a straight video rolling through. Of course, it's gonna be chopped up by the time I get it to y'all. But listen, I had to come on here and I have notes. Look at these notes. Look at these notes. Okay? Because I've been following these cases, one since last year, one since this year, actually last month. And I talked a little bit, I think, on one of my podcasts. Well, the last podcast probably. Because I don't do podcasts often. But because I've been pumping out this music like I'm doing albums, I said, let me take a minute and talk about these cases because something fascinating and scary about both of these cases. Fascinating and scary to the fact that they happen at opposite ends of the world. Fascinating and scary that it happened to women, minority women. And fascinated and scary because I truly believe that the that it's more to than just meets the eye. And this is something that's been going on for a very long time. It's just that sense it's just that sense, we could do this, be online in a few minutes, that this story is getting out and across the seas and all this other stuff. Because, back in the day, before all of this, you had to rely on the newspaper. And I mean, just like this could be tangent because I'm learning AI. I'm rethinking a lot of things. But it's, back in the day, the papers, they would write what they want to write. You paid them off. They would write what they want to write, whether the story was true or not. So I want to talk about two things. And I'm going to be going, welcome to Shelly's 329. Welcome to Auntie Shelly 329. Welcome to this goddamn podcast, okay? Blasphemy. Sorry. Welcome to this motherfucking podcast. Okay. So, it's going to be about Ashley Jenae, and it's going to be about Celeste Hernandez. And I know what y'all thinking. Michelle, Auntie Shelly, Shelly 329. What does this Celeste Hernandez have anything to do with Ashley Jenae? Celeste Hernandez, unfortunately, was 14 years old, and I don't want to cry. But 14 years old when she was allegedly, well, no, she's not with us no more. So alleged doesn't have to go in there. She was, we don't have to, well, YouTube might take that out. I'm gonna have to beep. I don't know. I'm gonna put it up. Let YouTube do what it wants to do. But she was unalived. I learned that from one of y'all out there. Before I go any further, I want to say where I went and did my research. And I stayed on YouTube. I stayed on the internet and did my research. So there's Queen of Sheba Darling. I watched her podcast. I watched Trent Out Loud. I watched Fumi, and I don't want to mess up her last name, Desalw, I think. Is that my writing? But the first name is Fume. Beautiful African princess. I watched her, and I watched those people I just mentioned. I watched them basically for Ashley Jenae. This person I'm giving a mention, I watched for Ashley Jenae, and I watched for Celeste. And I know some people, don't believe in the psychics. Me, myself, I do. Me, myself, know there's things out here in the universe we do not know anything about. But what we do know is that astronomy and psychics have been used since the beginning of time. Queens, kings had their own. Everybody talk about Nostradamus and his predictions coming true. So I believe in them because sometimes I listen to my horoscope and it is spot on of what I am going through. So Sloan Bella, I watched her for both Ashley Jenae, and I also watched her for Celeste. And watching her for both is the reason why I'm tying these two cases together. Stay with me. So we all know what about Ashley Jenae. We all know, thank God, her body is back in America now. We all know, allegedly, her fiance had something to do with her being unalived. We know it happened, where it happened, and we don't know any circumstances behind it. What all of the podcasters were saying, A, the fiance is not who he says he is. B, the fiance lived on that dark web. C, I'm sorry, I keep turning towards my dogs to make sure they ain't going out the door. C, that he was in some kind of dark stuff, okay? And unfortunately, um, Miss Ashley, unfortunately, allegedly, whatever y'all want to put, disclaimer, whatever. I'm not gonna go through this whole video saying alleged. I'm just gonna say how I feel. These are my opinions, nobody else's. Okay, so this is it. This is the disclaimer. So I'm gonna get to what I want to say. So it has been reported, the last report. Now, we all know we started at the beginning where, oh, shock, this happened. Then Gates' name got in here. I think, actually, I mentioned, get your butt in here. I actually mentioned that on my last podcast about Kevin Gates. He was something to do with it, which he didn't have nothing. I don't think he had nothing to do with it. I think he just knew the girl. And that she got engaged. It was a birthday trip, and I started thinking birthday, engagement, and death. Hmm. Sounds something dark there. Something dark. That you would celebrate 2 wins and a loss, or 3 wins, because of the fact that she went on a trip of a lifetime. So, a trip of a lifetime, you get engaged, it's your birthday, and then you leave this world. Well, this world, physical world. It didn't seem right. And the more that people talk about her fiance, how he had money, how he didn't have money, how he lost a lot of money, that he stayed on the dark web, that he was fueled by this dark web. The last reports on this unfortunate story is that her body is back. He is still over there behind bars, or he's still overseas in Africa, in Zanzibar, I believe it is. And that the country is now, at first the country was trying to back up the story. Now they're distancing themselves. This is what I think after looking at everything. And I try to keep things under 30 minutes. I don't know if I'll be able to keep this one under 30 minutes, but this is what I think. This possibly, allegedly could happen. Because they said he sought her out. And I want y'all to remember that, because something else on the other story I have to tell you. Sorry, y'all gonna hear noise. I got my door open. There's a good breeze coming through here, and I'm trying to get this up. Maybe I'll be able to denoise it. I don't know. But anyway, so he sought her. He sought after her. She was already making money on the internet, making money being a video person. She was already in the life. Okay, so he sought her out. He, I guess, had just got through a divorce from his first wife and had to pay her all this money. And so him being on the dark web, the dark web has a lot of things that if you get on there, you can get addicted to. I have never even pressed. I don't even know how to get on it. So I'm not even. I don't even. I don't want to know how to get on it. You understand? So he's out there. You know, they do things like hunt humans, video it, unalive this person, video it. Okay, let's put some bets. Let's put some money, because I mean, these are rich people. People, you know, rich people get bored with stuff, and rich people praise things that they shouldn't. So, okay, we're betting on this person's life. We're betting on this person's life. We're betting on this person's life. Oh, you do it. You know what I'm saying? That is what goes on there. So, I believe that he sought her out. I believe the fact that his business wasn't doing so well. He was already on that dark web. He was already in that life. And, you know, you can make a lot of money if you do certain things on there. So I truly believe that she was part of a game. I truly believe that she was part of a game. I believe that she was part of the game on the dark web. I believe there's probably a video out there on that dark web. I believe that people were sitting there probably watching her be unalived and had placed bets on it. And I believe that it was all orchestrated in this area where he had stake and claim in this particular area, which is very poor, where people can be bought. Because I'm going to say something on Sloan Bella. She hinted to this. And I agree with her totally. That's why I'm saying it. But she also said that it was more than, you know, one person that she was being watched. I believe she said that it was more. It was like four people. I believe she said. No, maybe she said that with the other case. But it wasn't just the fiance. You know, it was people there to watch the fiance to make sure that things happen in the way that they happen for this game. And I'm going to show you what. And I'm going to pause right here. Before I listened to the Sloan Bella, and I first was getting into the story, they were showing pictures of the girl on vacation. One of the pictures that popped up on the podcaster's screen was a picture, and I'm gonna put the picture up. So I'm gonna leave my finger up for a minute because I'm not computer savvy too much. But I'm gonna add this picture to the screen, okay? And then I'm going to go away and just have my voice. Okay? If you look at that picture or look at this picture, you will see her interacting with the animals and look in the background. What them two people doing there? What them two people just sitting there looking at her for? Now, at first I said, Michelle, mental illness could be real. Let's not think that way. Maybe they were there to, she's very close to the animals. Maybe they were there so that, in case the animals got out of control, that they could, go there and save her. But then I'm thinking if the animals got out of control, they're kind of far away. You could have a gun. But then I look closer. I say every animal around her is a grazing animal. Which means they don't want her. They want that grass. They don't want her. They want some leaves. So why are these two mofos standing there watching this girl? And who's taking the picture? Is it the boyfriend taking the picture? Because there's another picture of her. There's a slightly different angle, but you don't see those people there no more. So who was those two guys that were watching her? They say things always happen in plain sight. You understand? This man needed money. He had lost $180 million. You understand me? Of course, he was still worth, some millions. But to lose $180 million? And these people who sit up and watch all of this happening and transpire and holding the puppet strings to how this world is moved and how this world goes, they could care less about him. They could care less about her. They could care less about maybe those two people in the picture if they hadn't. Mm, allegedly, I'll put allegedly out there with them two people in the picture because I don't know them. I mean, they don't know me. But anyway, for real, it's sad. And I agree with what Sloan Bella says. We are living in a day and age where we can spend $20 and get a background check on mofos. You ain't gotta wait a year to get to know nobody and what they're into and what they don't want you to know that they're into. She had enough money to do it. God rest her soul, man. It's, us as women, we are trusting. We want to believe in love, especially women who come from hardship. Now, I don't know if obviously her mother and father wasn't together because they were on the news with two different other partners, and it's strange that her probably was like, oh, it's like stepdad, it's cool, he's cool. I known him for a year. Sloan Bella also said that, the girl knew the girl was going to end it, but she went on this trip anyway to save face. And that's another coincidence with these two young ladies. That if you, it's hard to say because I've been in those relationships too. It's hard. You sometimes you just want to keep the peace. I understand. But my heart goes out to her. But I truly think that when we do find out, if we ever find out, it's going to be from a whistleblower. What really happened. I truly believe there's a lot of full moons this year, y'all. I don't know. From some reason, I'm hearing there's a lot of different full moons, very impactful full moons. And if somebody's into that other side, these full moons mean something. Birth dates mean something. You know what I'm saying? Birthdays mean something. You know what I'm saying? And who you choose to put up or take out, or you know what I'm saying? And I'm getting very emotional. Very emotional. It's This world is it's truly a matrix. It's truly a matrix. That dark web is a matrix. You understand me? Anyway, I'm just sad about that. But let's get to Celeste. Okay, y'all, I had to stop it here in this beautiful picture because the one thing that these two ladies had in common is that not only did Jenae's, Ashley's boyfriend, sought her out, D4VD sought out Celeste as well. Let's go. David, D4VD, you know? Now, with him, I'm going to start with his situation because I've been watching documentaries and stuff on him. He was a sheltered child. He did not have a childhood. And what I mean by that is that he did not interact with other children. He was homeschooled. He even complained about this on many of his interviews that he wasn't allowed to listen to regular music, which I don't agree. It's a lot of stuff in regular music. So he was listening to a lot of classical gospel, things of that nature. So he was very sheltered. He was homeschooled. And he also complained that, he didn't mind being homeschooled because there's a homeschooling where you do get to act, once a month with peers. So think about it. You're not with no peers. Family's homeschooling you up until the age, I think, of 15, 16, maybe his whole, high school. I'm not sure. But his formative years, he was very isolated. And he said one thing that he did a lot was play video games. Sloan Bella said something very interesting, was that he was playing these games and these games was getting into his mind, attaching themselves to him. Because think about it. his mind is one of a child. Yes, he's growing, but he's not getting that outside stimulation from his peers. They tell him, well, you're wrong, you're weak, you're weird, what's going on, why are you looking at gore? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? So he said that he was looking at gore and he got addicted to it, of watching gore. Now, gore. Dark web gore, maybe. Dark web. How did he get his start? Music for games. One of the games I think was Roblox or something like that. Where a lot of parents are trying to keep their children off that game now. Sloan Bella said that that game was attached, not that game. Oh, allegedly, I don't know how to put there, but watching the game was literally attaching itself to his brain, kind of like a possession, but it was a slow thing. And if you're a homeschooled and you're all that and don't have a foundation of who you are, they always say, if you're, I don't want to use the word weak. I can't think of any other word right now. You can allow things to come in. They pray, whatever it is, praise on the fact of people not knowing who they are, what they are, things, because they get feed off that. That was interesting. These two men both spend time on that dark web. There's Doggy in the back. But another thing was that she said, which I'm going to do, I didn't do, but if you go look at pictures of him when he was younger and look at pictures of when he really started getting into video games and really interacting with those video games, you can see a difference in his eyes. Eyes are the windows to the soul. Okay, y'all, I stopped it again because I went to the internet and I got some pictures of him. Now look at this first picture. Doesn't he look like just full of hope? Look at his eyes. There's a soul behind there. There's thought behind there. And then look behind these eyes. Nothing. Soulless. Don't care. Now look at this one. Soulless too. But I put it on there because why? Every time I'm in an interview after the girl has passed away, this boy's in a bonnet and black fingernail polish in shades or glasses, hiding those eyes. Let's get back to our program, y'all. So he was involved in all this bullshit. And the fact that he didn't interact with regular children his age, I'm not surprised that he got into a girl that was young. Think of it. He probably was 11 when he met her in his mind. You know what I'm saying? In his social skills, definitely. Not condoning it. I'm just saying, look at it. You know what I'm saying? Also, she come from evidently a home, I don't, a fractured home is all I'm gonna say. Sloan Bella went into a lot of detail about, what she was getting about her past. And her past is not any different than any other, girl growing up in an urban situation. Okay? And I'm just going to leave that at that. So she was susceptible to things being controlled or being manipulated or, you know, it's so we know that he lured her there. We know what we don't know that. I'm strike that. Because Sloan Bella, I guess I'm gonna say her name throughout the whole thing. She said it was more people. She said it was a girl and some guys. Right? But sometimes people who look obviously guilty may not be. But then they could be. But sometimes they're not. I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see how this story unfolds. People are so willing to put this young man in the chair. I mean, you can't deny. Okay, the smell was there. You can't deny. People complain about the smell, but then people sat in there. So y'all just, I think if I went to somebody's house and I smelled death, mm, I'm not just gonna sit there and stream with you. Mm-mm. Unless we all do that. That's not me, so I wouldn't do it. But it's interesting that he also was on this dark web, watching gore videos being taken over. You know what I'm saying? Sloan Bella also said that she was a sacrifice, basically, allegedly. She was a sacrifice as well. That people were watching. You know what I'm saying? That people were betting. You know what I'm saying? It makes you wonder about all these missing children, missing adults, all these missing people out here. It makes you wonder if are they, I mean, of course they're missing, but why are they missing? Are they part of this dark web? The lady, Sloan Bella, also said that she was getting that the girl was trafficked, that the boyfriend might have trafficked, that it was promises being made. Um, it's more to every story. Everybody's trying to put out here that this young man, say 3 times because I'm going to cut it. So I'm going to say it again. Unalived. This young lady, because his career was getting ready to go, and that, she was getting ready to say this, and he did it as a cover up. He allegedly might have did all of that, but allegedly, was he in his right mind? Allegedly, was it, the games that was telling him to do that? Did he pass out somewhere and then somebody used his phone and got her over there and did that? It's a lot of possibilities out here. This world is so beautiful and fucked up at the same time. I don't know what else to say. That anything could have happened to these young ladies. And we might think we know, but we might be hoodwinking and bamboozled and everything else around here. Because that dark web, from what I hear, again, I would not ever. My husband don't like me to say never, so I'm gonna say I will not ever, 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 ever attempt to go on that bad boy there. You can have that. Nope. No Squid Game over here. Basically, they say movies represent arts. How we know all these freaking missing people ain't somewhere in Africa or on some island Squid Gaming it out for the pleasures of the elite. Mm. This world, this world, this world. I truly think that these two cases are connected in some way. And I truly believe there are more cases that are out there of regular people who are not even, right there attached to these famous people or powerful people. We're just pawns. We're pawns for them economically. Now we're pawns in entertainment too. That's why you got to be careful about what you listen to, what you invite into your home, how much you invite certain stuff to your home, because you can get addicted to this. We be on YouTube a lot. Oh, I love YouTube. We'll see. We'll see if you cut this video. But I just had to come on and say that. I don't know what podcast. I think this is only the third podcast this season. So I got some more to do. But I'm going to be doing a couple of more this week because I think next week I'm going to get back into the music and the content. But I truly believe these two cases, these two young ladies left this world for other people's sick pleasure. I really do. And I don't even mean their spouse's sick pleasure or their significant other's sick pleasures, or I don't even mean that. I truly believe that their significant others was into something on that dark web they had no business being into, for the love of money, for the love of power. And look at you, you're both behind bars. And unfortunately, these two ladies had to pay the price for your stupidity. Allegedly. Allegedly. But yeah. So it's been about 30 minutes. It just amazes me. Like I said, I watched all these videos. I even watched some of his videos where he was wearing bloody shirts, and this was after that she was already gone. He was wearing bloody shirts, you know. And it was funny also because I'm looking at my notes when it comes to D4 VD, which to me is a strange, very strange name. But shortly after Celeste's unaliving, I got on here the dates of 4/28, 4/29. If anybody want to go look at it, he was on a dating show clip, and both of the people, the woman and him, said, "No, we're not into it." He said, "I'm not into no long distance relationship." He did stabbing moves. Of course, nobody knew the girl was gone at this time, but it's like, whoa, whoa. And then you do videos with bloody clothes. You do videos basically saying what you. Mm, mm, mm. I just. Mm. I'm gonna leave that dark web for the people who have the money to keep themselves out of trouble, and I'm gonna leave the dark web for the money hungry people who think they're gonna get a leg up when you use basically just a pawn for these people. You're just entertainment. You think you're going to the dark web to be entertained, and you turn up to be the entertainment. And everybody who in your life, everybody who is connected to you is also entertainment. That's how I feel. That's just my opinion. Because these two ladies' cases, and I mean, listening to that Sloan Bella and the way she talked about these two separate cases, and it was like weeks apart that she did these readings. I don't know what to call them. I'm just going to say podcast. Weeks apart. So it wasn't like she did Ashley one day and then the next day she did Celeste and tied them together. No, these were weeks from each other. Even though that don't make no difference either, but the coincidences in the way, just listening to it, the light bulbs that was just going off in my head is like, damn. Yo, let me just sit in my house. Let me just grow my own food. You know what I'm saying? Let me just, live off the grid in the city as much as I can. Because this is, wow. It might make some good material, though. And I don't mean material on what happened to them. I mean material on the other aspects that I don't want to say right now. But that's all I have for you. Excuse me. I wanted to come up here and I wanted to talk about this case because it's too coincidental. And I truly believe if you look at your local news and look at local papers or maybe, just browse the internet for different stories that's happening during this full moon phases, that we're going to find out there's a lot of stuff, a lot of things that could be rituals, and a lot of things that, just don't add up that's going to be happening. I truly believe that. I want to say rest in peace to both of these lovely ladies. They did not deserve anything like this, no matter what they were into, no matter what the hell they were doing. I don't care. Nobody's life deserves to be taken. Your life only deserves to cease when the powers, and I don't mean the dark web powers, I mean the spiritual, the gods powers, the higher entity powers, when your life cycle was supposed to end, powers not to be taken. You see what I'm saying? Not to be taken like that. So sad, y'all. So sad. But I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to go now and chop this up. I might get 20 minutes out of this because it's 35, and I've been having a lot of issues with my mouth, so I'm going to have to cut a lot of stuff out. But y'all, it's pray. It's just pray. And I'm going to keep on this. I'm going to continue to watch this. You know what I'm saying? Because some things you just want to sleep in that little, in the Matrix, they had everybody in the little, cocoons filled with water. Just keep me there. Yeah, just don't even press the button to let me out if the dark web is the real world. Just keep me submerged. Yes, I'll be okay. Well, listen, y'all. Y'all have a blessed day. And I'll be back soon. Peace.